I'm Maggie McGrath, senior editor at Forbes. On Monday, President Trump signed an executive order saying that to burn an American flag is an act that could be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is drawing lots of questions from First Amendment advocates, and joining us now to break down what it all means is Brian Hauss. He is a senior staff attorney with the ACLU's Speech, Privacy, and Technology Project. Brian, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to read you part of this executive order. This, I will emphasize, is just a portion and not the entire thing. But the executive order that Trump signed reads in part, "My administration will act to restore the respect and sanctity of the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate laws while desecrating the symbol of our country to the fullest extent permissible under any available authority." There's a lot to unpack here, but broadly, can you break down what this executive order means?
Essentially, what the executive order does is instruct federal prosecutors to abuse their discretion and look for excuses to charge people who are engaged in acts of flag burning. Now, it's important to clarify here that the executive order does not and cannot create a new federal crime. Congress writes the criminal statutes, not the president. And so, and the Supreme Court held about 30 years ago that the First Amendment prohibits the government from criminally punishing burning of the flag or desecrating the flag because of the message that it sends. So that's not what President Trump is doing here. Instead, what he's doing is he's instructing federal prosecutors to look for excuses to charge people who are engaged in flag burning when the real motivation behind it, as the executive order makes clear, is the message that they're sending.
I have a lot of follow-up questions to what you just said, but just to be very clear and perhaps a little pedantic here, is what this executive order is saying, is that a violation of the First Amendment?
What the executive order is doing does violate the First Amendment because it's instructing federal prosecutors to target people on the basis of their protected expression. This is what's known as selective prosecution, right? So if a federal prosecutor is charging someone with a crime, even if they violated a statute, if the motivation behind the charging decision is impermissible, for example, because they're a Democrat or because of their protected expression, they can raise what's known as a selective prosecution defense, essentially saying that the real motivation for their prosecution is their speech and not any unlawful conduct that they might be engaged in. That's exactly what this executive order is instructing prosecutors to do.